choppers are out. They're lighting up. Have a good time.
Regime forces in Bahrain destroyed the mihrab of Sheikh Aziz al-Bahrani Mosque near the capital Manama. Mihrab is a semicircular niche in the wall of a mosque that indicates the Qibla, or the direction of the holy Kaaba. The demolition of the mihrab was aimed at preventing worshippers from holding congregational prayers. Dozens of mosques have been demolished by the ruling Al-Khalifa regime in Bahrain since the start of the anti-monarchy rallies in the country. Almost daily protests have been held against the regime since February 2011, when thousands of pro-democracy protesters took to the streets calling for the royal family to relinquish power. Scores of people have been killed and hundreds of others arrested since the start of the uprising.
15 Minnesota mosques are opening their doors to non-Muslims during this holy month, inviting folks for an evening meal and a chance to ask any questions about the Muslim life. And about 40% of them had never spoken to a Muslim. According to reports, the project was tested with limited success a decade ago, when it was offered on different dates, but coordinating the dinner with the month of Ramadan dramatically boosted interest by both mosques and the public.
We cannot have a society in which some dictator someplace can start imposing censorship here in the United States. Because if somebody is able to intimidate folks out of releasing a satirical movie, imagine what they start doing when they see a documentary that they don't like, or news reports that they don't like. Even worse, imagine if producers and distributors and others start engaging in self-censorship because they don't want to offend the sensibilities of somebody whose sensibilities probably need to be offended. You know, that's not who we are. That's not what America's about.
I assure my fellow Americans that American Muslims are like every American.
Standing side by side with Jersey City leaders, the head of the Council on American-Islamic Relations called for an end to rhetoric he says stirs anti-Muslim sentiments.
Donald Trump has made vicious and unfounded claims against the American Muslim community.
Referring to the GOP presidential frontrunner's remarks at a campaign rally, Trump called for surveillance of certain U.S. mosques.
I watched when the World Trade Center came tumbling down. And I watched in Jersey City, New Jersey, where thousands and thousands of people were cheering as that building was coming down.
Today's press conference was scheduled before the San Bernardino mass shooting and before the assailants' religious affiliations were known. But in its wake, the Muslim leader's message remained the same.
You have to separate the individual from the belief. You cannot paint all Muslims with the same brush.
Jersey City Mayor Steve Fulop was adamant that Trump's claims about cheering Muslims are not true.
With regards to police reports, there's no record from media outlets that would substantiate those allegations. In the days after 9/11, there was obviously a lot of concern across the country. Accusations at that time were found to be unfounded, actually.
Islamic leaders say they've felt increased tensions following the statement. Fulop echoed that.
City Hall was inundated with hundreds of phone calls from across the country.
As the state's second largest city with one of the most diverse populations, Fulop said law enforcement is in constant communication with faith-based leaders with or without hints of hate crimes.
And then we generally escalate police presence around them to make sure that they feel protected and make sure that there's no adverse reaction to the community here in Jersey City. So that's standard operating procedure for us. We continue to do that regardless of where the facts are today. If we feel that there's any degree of concern for our community here, we respond to that.
Islamic leaders invited elected officials and community members to visit a local mosque and get to know the people. They condemned the shootings and offered their prayers, saying we need to live in solidarity, reminding everyone today that with more than 8 million Muslims living in the U.S., they're here to stay. For NJTV News, I'm Brianna Vanozzi.